question is about tomorrow's game between Morocco and the United States of America. What do you think about the game? What do you think about the qualification of Morocco to the World Cup?
I think, having seen Morocco play at previous World Cups, it's great that they're back. I think it's good that the investment that the Federation have made in the programme in Morocco is bearing fruit with good younger players coming through. I know that Halilhodžić is a man who elicits mixed emotions, but I think he's a good man to have at the helm going into a World Cup, and of course he'll be hoping that he's still in charge of the World Cup given his history of qualifying so many times and not always taking the team to the World Cup. And I think in the context of this game against the US, it's a fascinating contrast of styles and also a really good test for both teams against the other.
What do you think about Hakim Ziyech? He has had small conflicts lately with the coach. What do you think about him not showing up in tomorrow's game? We know that his colleague in Chelsea is playing tomorrow, but he will not be playing. So what do you think overall about Hakim Ziyech not being absent during tomorrow's game?
There are a couple of things I just can't understand. One is why some sort of agreement can't be made for him to return to the fold. And the second is purely from his point of view. Because even if you're a top player like Ziyech, you get limited number of chances to play on the ultimate world stage. And he is potentially going to miss out on one of those opportunities. And it may never come again for him. So I would be knocking a few heads together, to use a figure of speech, and trying to see common sense prevail.
Chances about Morocco playing in a group with Canada, Croatia and Belgium?
Difficult, but possible to get out of it. Croatia, I think, are on the downslide. Belgium, I know, number one ranked side in the world for much of the last 2 years, but have yet to really produce at the tail end of competitions. And I'm concerned from their point of view that so many of their players are a long way the wrong side of 30. It's an elderly team, and I just wonder whether this is one tournament so far. Canada are, if you like, the dark horse because they haven't played on the World Cup stage for a while, but they're really good. So I think Morocco have landed themselves a tough group, but one they can get out of.
I think that tomorrow's game is going to be a tougher one for both teams. We don't think that it's an easy one just because it's Morocco or just because it's here in the United States. Both teams are going to have a tougher game. It's going to be difficult for both of them, being the first one ahead to the World Cup. So I guess it's more than a training game. These games are the ones that they need to get into what the real mention of a World Cup means for them.
Your opinion about Morocco's group that has Croatia, Belgium and Canada?
That's an interesting group for our side because they have Canada, and Canada is going to be like a surprise in this World Cup. It has been a surprise during the CONCACAF tournament and qualifications, so I guess it's going to be a tougher one. Even Belgium and Croatia, of what they did in the last World Cup in Russia. So it's going to be a hard one, but I will see that Morocco will have some surprises in the World Cup.
Thank you. So your opinion about tomorrow's friendly game between Morocco and USA?
Well, I think it has the potential to be very exciting. These are two teams that like to play attacking football. And they have big players on big teams in Europe. Christian Pulisic at Chelsea, Youssef En-Nesyri, obviously, people know. Achraf Hakimi, although whether or not he plays, people know who he is because he plays for PSG, you know. People want to see this U.S. team. They don't get to play at home very often. The players who play in Europe don't get to play in the United States very often. There's a lot of excitement building about this U.S. team. They're young, they're interesting, they play on these big teams in Europe, as I said, and people want to watch them.
Okay, so what do you know about the players of the Moroccan national team? That play in the European Champions League, who do you know? Does Morocco have international football stars, soccer stars?
Well, I would say yes. I've covered football in this country for 20 years, so I know who they are, but in terms of the general public, sure, you've got a guy who plays for PSG, and again, I understand he might not be playing in this game, but when you look at their roster, Wolves, Sevilla, other big teams, you get two players like El Haddadi and En-Nesyri from Sevilla. Anybody in this country who watched Sevilla play in Europe or who watches La Liga, they know who they are, they know how good those players are. And as I said, I think it's got the potential to be an entertaining and open game. It's not a qualifier, it's not a World Cup game. These teams, they want to play well, they want to play hard, but they don't want to take an injury or anything like that, so they're going to try to hopefully play some attacking football. It should be a good game.
What about your opinion about Morocco on the World Cup stage?
Well, it's been a little while, right? Yeah. Since they've been there, I think they've been missed. Yeah. Those of us who watch a little bit of African football know how good they can be. But as everybody else has said, boy, that group is really tough. Belgium, Croatia, I know Croatia's getting a little old, but I'm not going to underrate Luka Modric. I just can't do it. I don't think any of us who've watched Real Madrid, we know how good he is. And Canada's a really good team, a really young team, and they've got some of that spirit, mentality. They want to show something, prove something, because they haven't been in a men's World Cup since 1986. They've got all these great young players, Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David, and they're hosting, of course, the next World Cup with the United States and Mexico. So they're going to want to show something. I think that group has the potential to be really fascinating.